I do apologize for the delay for the start of the stream, but we are here for the start of round 2 of the IFWL Beginner Multi-Class League event. Season 2, of course. And let's get straight into the action, shall we? Just give me a moment. And you can do this. And the live timing will begin now. We've got GT3s currently out on track here today. And give me a second. There we go. And hide the event card. Alright, so 20 minutes of Monza. We currently have GT3s currently out on track. 10 minutes for GT3, 10 minutes for Hypercar. And we've got six GT3s currently out on track. Currently, the person who is going to complete the first lap of the session will be Callum Amkreutz in the Mercedes Iron Lynx 61. He's heading down to Ascari now. And this will be the first lap time on the board. Let me just bring myself up a little bit. And bring up the sound. The forecast here today, it looks to be all sunny for qualifying, of course, and we'll see what's like for the race as well. And now, 2 green sectors, first flying lap for the GT3s. And Kreutz will come across the line to set the first benchmark of the session. It is a 141.442. Let's see who can match that. Christian Fabrim with a purple sector 2 so far in the Porsche 911 GT3 car. And he goes up top with a 40.777. Blake Gonzalez next across the line goes into 4th place. Alex Agan in the McLaren with 141 dead goes into 2nd. Slots in between the Porsche and Mercedes. Next one across the line will be Mike Johnson heading through into Parabolica. The light blue cyan and black car Lexus, the 239, apologies, the 239 will come across the line now. And it's 5th place for Johnson, 42.268. The last of the GT3s, the Ferrari 296. This car was built in this country. However, the Brit driving down to Parabolica. Let's see what he can put on the board for the first lap. Jake White will come across the line. The 55 car goes into 5th place with a 42 dead. Fabrim has backed out from this lap time. He looked good in the 2nd sector, or 1st sector. He's back out of it. That's he will come across the line, which I believe is Blake Gonzalez in the Bend Porsche. Gonzalez hugging the inside line will come across the line, and it will be 3rd place. Improves by just over 3 tenths of a second. Agan goes up into 2nd with a Garage 59 car, a 41.837. And Jake White back in the garage. The Iron Lynx of Christian Amkreutz. On, I believe, this is his 3rd lap of the session. In the Iron Lynx car. Your voice has went a little bit quiet compared to the cars. Let me just bring myself up a little bit. My apologies. Christian Gonzalez, though, with the fastest 2nd sector. And there we go, bring the voice up a bit. Amkreutz into the final corner. A net improvement Needs at least 40 thousandths of a second to go up into the top 3. At least 3 tenths to go up into the front row. The 61 comes across the line with just over 3 minutes left to go of GT3 qualifying, and it's a fastest third sector as well with a 40.613. Takes away provisional pole position from Fabrim, who's come back into the pits. And now, let's see. Egan now, we're spectating him in the Garage 59 McLaren. The McLaren has a history of being very fast in Monza, but it'll come across the line. I believe he might have been validated in the second sector. Jake White still in the garage. Who's the next one to come across the line? Gonzalez was the next one to come across the line, but he's not improved in terms of position. This is, of course, the Curva Grande circuit, so this removes the first chicane. Retifilio it is, so it's the first corner, realistically, is this chicane that we're seeing right now, which is going to be an interesting first lap, to say the least. Removes the deadly first chicane. Fabrim, with just over a minute, under 2 minutes left to go, will not get a final lap time in. He stays in the garage, so Amkloit, once again, improving on his lap. And will he be uncontended for provisional pole position here? What can the others do? So far, the Iron Lynx driver has been very quick this entire session. 1.5 tenths cumulative sectors 1+2, and he goes even quicker, a 40.477, 3 tenths quicker than Fabrim at the moment. Alex Egan and Blake Gonzalez will come across the line. Mike Johnson also a bit further back in this roster so far, at least on track. Egan, though, not improving in the second sector. It has to be a blistering final sector to improve, but it's not. Johnson and Alexis with under a minute left to go, who have enough time to go for another lap after this one, but needs at least 2.5 tenths to go up a place ahead of Jake White, who is stuck in the pits as well. And Johnson across the line. It is a heavy improvement in the final sector, 3.5 tenths. And the 41.991 is enough to get ahead of Jake White by 10 thousandths of a second. Alex Egan now pushing. Fastest sector 1. Sector 2 was the bane of his previous lap. But will it be an improvement this time? 5 seconds left to go GTV qualifying before Hypercars leave their pits. 2 tenths down in the second sector. It's only Egan and Gonzalez out on track for Hypercars. And into the final corner. The Hypercars now leaving their pits and onto the track now. But we'll watch the final GT3 cars. Nope. Gonzalez, Egan backing out of it. Gonzalez also as well. So let's have a look at the Hypercars who are making their outlaps all back to front of each other. And it's a 10-man Hypercar field here today with Leary, the first car out on track, in an 81 Peugeot for IFWL. Right behind him is the yellow 83 AF Corsa Ferrari of Fares Al-Shaif. And then behind him is the BMW of Jamal Cloudy. Takes a couple of laps, especially around the track, which doesn't have many corners, for these Hypercars to get their tyre temps up. So the first laps will not be representative of how quick these guys can be. But 8.5 minutes, and the first flying lap will start now for Leary. And ignore the first chicane because we're barreling over it, and it's going to be a top speed test. Minimize the amount of wing you have in the car as much as possible, especially for this first sector. And the fastest first sector, which is basically just a straight, goes to Al Shaif in the 83 AF Corsa car. One out of the two Ferraris, and that is one of the Peugeots going off track. That is Leary. And subsequently abandoned his lap time now. That's past both Al Shaif and Clouden. Clouden taking the fastest second sector. And it's going... Oh, that is a Ferrari in the background. Into the wall. And that is Palputsakis getting back into the garage. But that's not what we wanted at all for the first... his first flying lap. And that might dent his confidence slightly. But it will be Al Shaif, the first one to come across the line. In the 83 AF Corsa Ferrari, the benchmark is, for the first lap, a 128.227, as Clouden goes faster than him. Al Shaif achieving a 128.351. Leary with his off-track at the exit of the Lesmos, 137. And Michael de Gore in the Aston Martin going from, well, now 6, as Arkina, lap time's coming thick and fast. Arkina behind the Cadillac, perhaps benefiting from a bit of slipstream. Fastest at 28 dead, and he's going to stick behind the Cadillac here in the all-new, for LMU, 2026 Evo Toyota. And into the first chicane, he backs out of it. But Clouden, for his first flying lap, it's enough to stay in the front row, even after being practically second out of all the cars that exited out of the pits. Ferlesh Al Shaif, though, told you that the first lap's wouldn't be representative of pace. He's gotten faster in the first two sectors. Sector 2 by itself, 6.5 tenth improvement, heading down to Parabolica. The 83 AF Corsa could propel himself up into provisional pole position at 27, low 27 is what he can achieve, and it's a 27.640, 4.5 tenths quicker than Arkina. Clouden across the line doesn't improve in position, stays in third place. Next one across the line might be one of the Aston Martins, Klutz DMB, apologies for not saying the name correctly, 007 Aston Martin will come across the line. We're going to keep an eye on him, but keep an eye on the leaderboards as well, as Arkina isn't able to beat out first place, as he was backed out of his lap time. Klutz DMB not improving in position, stays in fourth place. As let's have a look, who's the next one to come across the line? Jogma in the 72 Porsche up into fifth place, improving on his previous best lap time. But it's all very close in Hypercar, especially between second and third place. Clouden 1.5 tenths away from Arkina. Once again, Al Shaif quick in the first sector, although his second sector wasn't his personal best. Anybody else can challenge for his spot. Arkina still at the back of the Cadillac here, grabbing as much slipstream as he possibly can, the Cadillac being Philip Hawks. And Hawks might need somebody else to punch the air for him as well, rather than him doing it, and he's a bit slow over Ascari and has to let the Toyota through. Al Shaif going quicker again, and he's showing his pace quite well here at 27.562. Arkina, oh, that's an off track for the Cadillac for Philip Hawks. Arkina will come across the line. Slow in the second sector though, and will he improve? No, de Gore, he missed his lap slightly, but he's gone up into second, front row for the Aston Martin 009. As we see Manolis Papoutsakis go up into 5th place after his initial flying lap crash at Ascari. He's managed to recover himself and go up into 5th. Let's have a look at who is improving currently. Klutz DNB going wide at the exit of the onto the gravel. Similar place to where Leary went off in his first lap as well. So he might have to back out of this qualifying lap. We've just got 2.5 minutes left to go of qualifying before we get into an hour race around this track. Arkina, it's a net improvement after the first 2 sectors. Is the 3rd sector enough? Hugging the inside line at the Excel Parabolica. What could the lap time be? Will it be enough to go into the front row? It is enough to go into the front row. A 1:27.883. Still 3 tenths behind provisional pole position, but it's enough to be in 2nd. Papoutsakis is in the gravel, and this time I believe this is the exit or in the middle of Parabolica. It is, and Papoutsakis, decent showing of pace, but he's gone off a bit twice now. It's going to dent his confidence even more, unfortunately. Klutz DMB in the 007. There's 2 007s actually now. MX Bondi on track. We've got 3 Aston Martins. Klutz heading down into the Sector 2 split. It is an improvement, but locking up at Ascari, and that's going to compromise his line slightly. Al Shaif going faster, even quicker, at 1:27.370. Provisional pole position might turn to actual pole position if nobody can challenge it now. Arkina in the pits, Jogba in the pits, Leary, MX Bondi in the pits. Digor can't improve to get ahead of Al Shaif. Klutz DMB currently is improving by 2 tenths of a second. Needs at least that much to get ahead of Jogba, and it's not enough. He's slower in the 3rd sector. We saw him lock up at Ascari, and that might have played a part into it. De Gore is done for qualifying. That's his qualifying over. With 15 seconds left to go. Al Shaif, 25 thousandths down the 1st sector, 5-6 tenths down in the 2nd, but it definitely seems like with 0 seconds on the clock now, time is over. Al Shaif is all but confirmed to be on provisional pole position for the start of 60 minutes of this race. So well done to Al Shaif, well done in GT3, Callum Amkloitz in the Iron Link 61 Mercedes to get pole position there as well. So, I've been given like instructions to give you a stream game here. So we're going to switch over to that. It's going to be a QR code, so make sure to get your phones out, etc., and join the game. So we do have a minute and a half of downtime before qualifying in the race now. So let's try to get this intermission quickly done, shall we? So 6 people in, start the race. I don't know if this is going to work or not. Oh wow, okay. Let me just try to change the sizing of this. I didn't realize this was going to be it. I don't really know what's happening. But yeah, this is fun. But we do have 33 seconds left to go before the start of this race. So let's try to quickly get this done. And the race is over with Carl winning, Ferret in second place and Ben Dover in third place. But the formation lap now starting here, and it will be Al Shaif in the lead. Let's go switch so we can see everyone. There we go. 16 cars out on track, 10 hypercars, 6 GT3s, a varied mix of both classes in terms of the type of cars that we have. The 83 Ferrari in first, double the 9 of De Gaulle in second, Clouden in third, and Arkina in fourth. But in GT3, don't forget about them. It's Callum Amcloit in first, Fablim in second. But as we approach green flag, let's see what will happen into the first corner. Monza has a history of collecting quite a few incidents. Let's see how these drivers approach this first lap.
Green flag, green flag.
Green flag's getting underway, and it's going to be a drag race down with a bit of slipstream into the first corner, which isn't the first one that you expect. It's foot flat to the floor in this first section, and it's Amcloif, Al-Sharif, I mean, in first place. Jamal Clouden, though, might be able to look for a move into the first corner. In the background, you can see the Aston Martin and Ferrari going side by side. What can Clouden do? Nothing. He stays in second place, but the Ferrari of Papoutsakis cutting across the chicane, and he now, where does he lead out of that? No, he stays in fourth place. Good on him. And yellow flags for Leary. He's dropping down the field because yellow flags. He's off into the gravel in the background, you can see. In GT3, Alex Agan taking first place away from Amcloit. He swapped places there. Klutz DMB, yellow flags. He's off the track. We can actually see replays once we wait. But let's focus on the GT3 lead because Agan versus Amcloit heading down to Ascari. It's going to be side by side between the race leaders. With into now the McLaren on the outside, the Mercedes on the inside, and the door's been shut. No moves there. Agan stays in first place. Heading down to Parabolica. It's a slipstream battle practically for this race. Stay in the pack. Otherwise you'll be left behind. As we see in the background as well, Leary trying to get past it. As we exit Parabolica, it's going to be side by side between two GT3s. They're going to be stuck like this for a while. Who has the better straight line speed between the McLaren and Mercedes? Don't forget about Fablim as well. He's just waiting to see if there's any sort of opportunity to get past these two cars, the McLaren and the Mercedes. Who will have the inside line. The McLaren will have the inside line into the first corner. But he's getting pushed slightly onto the grass, I mean, a little bit, and it's side by side, millimeters apart. Oh no! Oh no, the Mercedes losing the rear, and there's a three-car collision into, oh dear gracious me, the McLaren is sent flying. There's no other way to describe it, and he's upside down. There you go. Meanwhile, in Hypercar, we have De Gore in third place, right behind Clouden. And De Gore at Parabolica in the background. We see a Toyota off the track at Ascari as well. The Aston Martin on the outside, the BMW on the inside. The BMW defending well, but at the exit, oh no, the BMW's lost it. At the exit Parabolica, and that promotes De Gore up into second place. Arkina in third. That was Jamal Clouden making that mistake at the exit Parabolica. And now he's missing his rear wing, which is extremely unfortunate. He has to head back into the pits. Coid steer nothing from this race in that Mercedes. It's unfortunate to see that happen. We were looking forward to see a fight for the lead heading down to the first corner, but after the second lap, it's all but done for Coid. And Egan as well, who's 46 seconds behind Fabrim, also involved in that incident. Now it's Mike Johnson leading the race ahead of Jake White and Gonzalez. And Gonzalez waiting behind Jake White for an overtaking opportunity. Egan yellow flags because he stopped at the exit of these corners. On the inside, he's done. Unfortunate to see. Unfortunate that this race has occurred to them. But regardless, the race must continue. Clouden in the pits. MX Bondi also in the pits in Hypercar. Yellow flags again. He's getting going slightly, but will he get back into the pits? Let's have a look at the positions gained after the first couple of laps. And it's 4 places gained for Philip Hawks, who started in 9th place. Jogma gaining 2 places. And Arkina in 3rd place, also gaining 1 position. Papoutsakis dropping down 1 place, but yeah, Clouden and MX Bondi both in the pits. Unfortunate to see Clouden making a Parabolica mistake. But in the front 2, pretty set going. Klutz, yellow flag. What's happened to Klutz here? Oh, he's fine. But there were yellow flags out for Klutz. Jake White setting the fastest lap in GT3. There's a fight here for 5th place between Philip Horse and Papoutsakis. And Sakis trying to figure out a way past the Cadillac. The 50 looking to the inside of Ascari. Backs out. Nope, he goes for it. And the Cadillac leaving more than enough space. And Papoutsakis goes up into 5th. Meanwhile, in GT3, Jake White versus Mike Johnson for the race lead. Blake Gonzalez also right behind them. Alex Egan retiring from this race. The 2 cars that qualified 1 and 2 retiring after just 5 minutes. Jake White looking to the outside of Ascari. Mike Johnson defends on the middle of the racetrack and covers it off well. Now we can see Gonzalez trying to set up a move on the next lap. It's front bumper to rear bumper in GT3. And Jake White looking for a move somewhere. The straight line speed though, Blake Gonzalez has 2 cars punching the air for him. He's going to have super speed into the first corner. Doesn't look like there's any potential moves, at least in the next one. Oh, the Lexus and the Ferrari are closing in on each other, and it's enough to make the Lexus go slightly defensive. More on the inside than he probably would have, if not under pressure. In towards Ascari. It'd be interesting to see a 296, the car that was built in the same land as where this track is, take the win here. And Mike Johnson gaining 6 places, so did Jake White, so did Gonzalez. For the fight for this race lead in the background, there's a Aston Martin off the track. I believe that might be... Who is that? MX Bondi going kind of slowly, unfortunate to see. He's on the grass and cutting the grass as well, and as he's heading back into the pits. And we're going to see a move here. I believe so. Jake White versus Blake Gonzalez, heading down through the pit straight. This is the closest that Blake Gonzalez has been to Jake White, and he's going to set up a move here. MX Bondi given a drive-through penalty in Hypercar. The bend, Porsche trying to find a way, figure out he's going to be on the inside of Curva Grande. Nope, Jake White covers it off for now. We don't want to see a repeat of what happened when the top 3 in the previous iteration collided. The bend, Porsche on the inside of Jake White, goes for the move down the inside. It's a bit of a side-to-side contact between the 296 and Porsche. But Jake White keeps his second place for now. This battle has allowed Mike Johnson to take his race lead and run away with it slightly. 1.5 seconds now the lead versus the second place. And Al Shaif now will be catching up to these 3 GT3s. And this traffic may play a part here in the fight for the race lead in GT3. Al Shaif trying to worm his way past now. Oh dear, okay, yeah. This is the point of multi-class racing. You're going to be stuck behind slow cars, especially around corners like Ascari, which is hard to overtake from. The Aston Martin trying to figure out ways past these GT3s as well. And he's gotten past with them, but I believe that may have benefited De Gore a little bit more than it did Al Shaif. Al Shaif now under pressure from the Aston Martin Valkyrie. "49 minutes left to go. MX Bondi in the pits to serve his drive-through penalty. MX Bondi now leaving the pits after serving his drive-through penalty. Let's go back to Jake White versus Blake Gonzalez. As they're trying to... Blake Gonzalez is trying to get out of the way like he would in blue flags, but with Hypercars versus GT3s, especially in multi-class racing, you don't physically get out of the way. You just stick to your line in GT3s and let the Hypercars pass you, rather. But I'm sure he'll learn that after a while. Jake White catching up to Mike Johnson as we see one of the 499Ps locking up the 50 of Sakis. But he continues on, passes the 3 GT3 cars. De Gore has been the closest. Oh nope, he's dropped back. the timing page, just made it look like he was right at the back of our Shaif. They're sitting out of Lesmos to Gore, now 1.6 seconds behind Al Shaif. We're seeing Klutz DMB. This battle has closed up quite considerably as the Cadillac trying to figure out a way past the Bend Porsche, and Philip Hawks getting past one of the GT3 cars, and the Aston Martin of Klutz DMB. That is the Cadillac going out wide, and Philip Hawks has dropped 2 places from this battle for 6th place. And now the BMW of Clouden is lapped actually. The BMW hypercar that you see is a lapped car. He's in 9th place and trying to unlap himself, I believe, trying to get ahead of Klutz DMB. Thought this was for position by how hard each of them were fighting. But the 007 Porsche Aston Martin going ahead of Philip Hawks. Mike Johnson versus Jake White at Parabolica. They're so close to each other. And even though we don't have that many GT3s on the track currently, they're certainly very close to each other and trying to make a show out of it. Jake White on the inside of Curva Grande. The Lexus of Mike Johnson shuts the door and negates a pass. The Bend Porsche looking to the inside of Del Roggia, but not finding a way. Jake White is going to be slightly frustrated seeing the back of this cyan Lexus for a while now. As Leary trying to figure out when to get past these 3 GT3s that are battling in front of him. And he does so now. Gonzalez getting a better exit out of Ascari. Putting pressure on Jake White, heading down to Parabolica. The Porsche taking to the racing line. Jake White, never mind, on Gonzalez trying to weave and see if there's an opportunity down the inside. Alas, there is not. Heading down to the first corner, which is Del Roggia. The Bend Porsche still stuck behind here. He moves to the inside line, the outside of Curva Grande. And into the next corner, he tries to go for 2 cars at once, and he brakes way too late. He cuts across the track. Gonzalez, perhaps a desperate move to try and get past 2 cars. And that has dropped him further back than he probably wanted to from these 2 battling. I'll show you once again setting the fastest lap in Hypercar. Let's move to Hypercar where Papoutsakis is at the back of Jogma. Jogma, the 72 Porsche, in 4th place currently. He's been doing well for himself. "43 minutes. It's a longer race than what it seems. It's only been about 17 minutes to have a lap so far. As we see Papoutsakis trying to maybe look. No. Let's go back to GT3 where it's side by side between Mike Johnson and Jake White. Jake White on the outside, Parabolica. Mike Johnson still defending this on the inside. It's going to be side by side the EXO Parabolica. And Gonzalez is going to be looking ahead and being patient to see if there is a move. And it's going to be a drag race between the Lexus and Ferrari. And 3 cars split by under a tenth of a second heading through Curva Grande. And it's Jake White who takes the race lead. Mike Johnson now in 3rd place, goes from 1st to 3rd. But it's not a corner just yet, and the Ben Porsche looking to the inside to take the race lead. And it's not enough. Jake White in the lead of this race. Blake Gonzalez in 2nd, and Mike Johnson in the midst of 1 corner loses the race lead and down to 3rd place. Gonzalez are looking to the inside of Lesmo, and Jake White shutting the door. These guys are putting on the show here. Don't forget about Fabrini, who's 3 seconds away. Gonzalez losing speed at the exit of the Lesmos, and Mike Johnson looking to the inside of Scari. The Ben Porsche on the outside. The Lexus will drop back and hang back for now. Senses a better opportunity arising in the next lap, potentially, I mean. And Gonzalez hanging to the inside of the Exo Parabolica. And we'll see how these two do. Let's go back into the Hypercar because you haven't seen them in a little bit of time. Al Shaif is ahead of De Gore by 2.5 seconds. 10 seconds further back is Arkina. And 10 seconds further back behind him is Papoutsakis Jogma in 5th place. Klutz DMB in the Aston Martin 4 in 6th place. Philip Hawkes in the Cadillac in 7th. Leary in 8th. And Jamal Clouden in a further back 9th. I believe he's 1.5 minutes away from Leary after doing a pit stop to fix his rear wing. Let's get back to this battle because it's top 3 fighting out for the race lead, and once again Al Shaif lapping these GT3s. Again, traffic can play a part into it. Al Shaif looking to the inside of Scari to get past out of these 3 battling, and the position of where the Ferrari is can impact this race battle as the Porsche of Blake Gonzalez going deep out of Scari promotes Mike Johnson up into 2nd place, and the Aston Martin of De Gore going off track and spinning out. He spins out, does a 360, manages to join back on track without much damage to his car, luckily to him, and not losing a place either, as Arkina now 2 seconds away, was 10 seconds previously. Going back to this fight for GT3, Mike Johnson taking the race lead away from Jake White. It's back to how it was just on the previous lap, as MX Bondi retires in the pits. He's done for this race. And De Gore manages to find his way past these GT3s, although not Mike Johnson's. Mike Johnson will go deep at Del Rogia, not losing a place, and they'll have to let pass or try to figure out to not hamper themselves while the Toyota of Arkina is overtaking them. There they go. And they'll see behind him and see, I believe that is Papoutsakis trying to get past here as well. What an interesting race, eh? Gonzalez, Jake White battling once again. These free fighting has allowed Fableem to close down from 3.6 seconds 2 laps ago to now 2 seconds. 1.6 seconds gained within the span of 2 laps. That's quite a fair bit. And Gonzalez looking to the inside of Parabolica. Oh, yeah. Benel's taking out. He's doing his best to fight himself back up. Yeah. Indeed. Gonzalez still at the back of White. And the Porsche slipstreaming, trying to go down the inside, although sees a 72 Porsche on the inside line as well. So, oh no, it was a collision between 2 classes. Blake Gonzalez and the 72 Porsche of Jogba. And that's incredibly unfortunate to see. We can get a replay of exactly what happened here. Give me a second. And, well. So, Jogba versus... And it's just a collision. And that sends the 72 Porsche spinning around and facing the wrong direction. Unfortunate to see that. We're getting back into the action now. The second gap between Mike Johnson and Jake White. The second gap between Gonzalez and White as well. Let's see. Nobody close to a battle just yet, apart from these 3 cars. There's the 72 Porsche. Oh, getting closer. Constantine effect. So, IFWL official chats, how are we feeling about this race so far after 25 minutes of racing? A few intense battles in GT3, a few collisions here and there. How do we feel? And Jamal Clouden, yellow flags as he's at the exit of the second Lesmo and he's off the track. We can get a replay of exactly what happened to him, to Jamal Clouden. Was it a collisional incident? I believe that he may have just gone by himself. Luckily, he hasn't hit the wall there, so he'll get back on track without any repercussions almost. Oh no! Oh no! We cut back into the action. And there's a collision between Philip Hawks, the 296 of Jake White, and Jamal Clouden. We can get a replay of this one as well to see exactly what happened here. Oh dear. Oh no. Oh no. Oh dear. Okay, yeah. So, there was contact between the Cadillac and the 296 first foremost, and then the chain reaction happened with Jake White colliding with the Clouden, the out of control Jake White colliding with Clouden. That was well, now Jogma into the pits. Papoutsakis also causing yellow flags somewhere. Let's see what happened to Papoutsakis. He just spun out at Parabolica and into the gravel. He'll get back on track, still in 4th place. Jake White missing his right rear tyre, the tyres from this race. Arkina versus De Gaulle. The gap is just over 2 seconds. This is the closest gap in Hypercar currently. Let's see what Arkina can do to try to get himself onto second place. The gap now to 1.8 seconds. Arkina gaining slightly versus the Aston Martin, just over 1/10, although it's not too much of an improvement, a slight negligible improvement between these two cars, between Arkina and De Gore. You can also have a look at the virtual energy numbers, because all of the drivers will have to pit at some point if they don't conserve their energy and mandatory stop maybe. We'll see what happens, as let's see the energy of all the cars at the moment. Sakis will definitely have to pit. Jogma Hawks already have come into the pits. 35% for Al Shaif, De Gore, Arkina, and De Gore, the first out of the top three to come into the pits. That promotes Arkina up into second place. How much does De Gore add to his car? Going up into 56, 58, 61% virtual energy. Will he max it out? And where will he come out? He will come out behind Sakis, but what about Klutz, DNB? Oh no, Klutz also into the pits as well. The Aston Martins have chosen to come into the pits at the same lap. De Gore exits out of the pit with 76% virtual energy remaining in his car. And he'll be exiting out of the pits. Where is Leary? Leary, across the pit straight, promotes himself into fourth place on the road. As clarification. Let's get back into the intervals. We've now headed into 50% of the race being completed. 30 minutes have elapsed, 30 minutes left to go. After seeing De Gore come into the pits, how do the others feel? Will they stick to their own strategy, trying to deplete as much virtual energy they can before coming into the pits, or will they follow what De Gore just did? There's no doubt that Sakis will come into the pits within the next 2 laps. In fact, he comes in now to top up on virtual energy, which is 12.5% currently. Leary, as he had that unfortunate incident in the first lap. He's still stuck. He's trying to recover himself at the moment. Leary made the action of almost coming into the pits, doesn't. He continues on with the same amount of virtual energy as first place Al Shaif and Arkina in second as well. What will Arkina do? He will continue on. Al Shaif has been leading this race very comfortably since the start. Over 50% has been done now, 18 seconds ahead of second place. Which will change, of course, after he comes into the pits for the first time. But he's just managing his own race, and he's leading by quite dominant fashion so far. Let's get back into the GT3s, because we haven't seen them for a little bit. Mike Johnson's still ahead of Blake Gonzalez. So Fabreem came into the pits a little bit early, so that's why you still see him a minute behind Blake Gonzalez. But once these two pits, 1 and 2 in GT3, they'll be closer to Fabreem as well. Philip Hawks now 3 laps down from this race lead, which is unfortunate to see after that incident between him, the BMW of Clouden, and the 296 of Jake White, which has retired both Clouden and White, but has left Hawks out of a potential decent result. And let's see when the pit cycle will turn into the clock. Pit cycle turn into effect. Virtual energy levels. Let's have a look at them again. 22% in the top 3 on the board. De Gaulle 65%. He just came into the pits. Johnson and Gonzalez 21% virtual energy. They'll be waiting to come into the pits sometime in the near future, but 26 minutes left to go. Generally in LMU, the best course of action is to elongate this first stint as much as physically can, because you lose much less time by coming into the pits and practically doing a 0.1 second stop and go penalty, quote unquote, and just coming out of the pits again. It's very much quicker in LMU to pit as late as you possibly can in these timed races. So this is what Al Shaif and Arkina are going to be doing. They'll try to drop down that virtual energy to as close to 0 as possible. So will Mike Johnson and Blake Gonzalez. The undercut doesn't really work around in LMU, unfortunately. Right. If you haven't already and you're watching the stream at the moment, please join today at www.ifwl.net and join the Patreon as well. Leary now 2 cents away from De Gaulle, as Leary going down the inside. De Gaulle just came out of the pits, and there's an incident there, a collision between the two cars. Let's see exactly what happened between Leary and De Gaulle. Both exited out of the pits. The Aston Martin, meanwhile, on cold tyres as a reminder. And Leary trying to go down the inside of the Lesmo, but the Aston Martin covers it, tries to cut him off. And he does cut him off. And Leary, contact. Arkina into the pits, following De Gaulle now. Arkina, on tyre allocation, he's put on hard tyres on his left front and left rear tyre for the rest of this race. That's an interesting tyre choice. Hards and mediums. Hards on his left tyres. But we will continue on. as Arkina exits out of the pits behind Leary and also behind De Gore. Arkina, stop and go penalty. That's incredibly unfortunate to see that happen. He must have done it at, well, speeding in the pits. Fabreem sets the fastest lap in GT3. Meanwhile, in GT3, Gonzalez versus Johnson, the top two battling. And Mike Johnson coming into the pits. Gonzalez takes the race lead on the road. About Sackett at the back of Klutz. Arkina with the stop-go penalty. He'll have to serve it, so he will be down a couple of places, unfortunate to see. So the battle for third place between Leary, Klutz DMB and Papatsakis. Oh no, Leary also have to come into the pits as well. So between Klutz DMB and Papatsakis is a battle for the podium. Mike Johnson receives a stop-go penalty. And we'll see exactly what happened. What did he do to receive the stop-go? When does he release the pit limiter? It's too early. And that promotes Blake Gonzalez up into first. About Sackers, 1.2 seconds behind Klutz. Sharif is now basically, is that correct on timing pages, 1 lap ahead of De Gore. Al Sharif, just a reminder, hasn't pitted yet. He'll have to come into the pit sometime, but he's basically, how do I describe this, almost is ahead of De Gore by 1 minute and 31 seconds. The energy levels though, as a reminder, close to zero between Al Sharif and Leary as well. Leary on 5%, Al Sharif on 3%. Gonzalez will always have the pits with 6% virtual energy. Sharif will definitely come into the pits on this lap. He's 1 minute and 30 seconds ahead of De Gaulle. De Gaulle starting his next lap at Curva Grande. And De Gaulle going deep and cutting the second part of that chicane, but he will continue on. Al Shaif pitting with how much energy will he put in? Leary also in the pits. Jogma will take Leary's position of 5th. Has got 62% energy left in the car. That's more than comfortable enough to go to the end. Al Shaif pitting out with 46% virtual energy, matching De Gaulle and Klutz DMB. And let's see what the gap is between those two cars. The gap after pitting is still 33 seconds. Half a minute. Wait a minute, that's not right. There we go. About Sakis at the back of Klutz. These two on equal amount of energy. The gap to under 1 second. It could be an Aston Martin 007, 009, 203. 2 and 3, I mean. But what can Papoutsakis do to make a Ferrari 1 and 3, rather? Equal last lap times. 129 dead for Klutz. 129 dead also for Papoutsakis. Equal on pace at the moment. And the gap going down. Gonzalez in the pits. Johnson served his stop-go penalty, so he comes out 38 seconds behind Fabreem. There's 2 Porsches right now, 1 and 2. And where is Fabreem compared to Gonzalez? Fabreem comes across the pit straight, but Gonzalez exiting out of the pits now. And he goes. It's a stop-go penalty for Gonzalez. And that's him done. For the leader of this race, Fabreem, promoted up into first place after his competitors both receiving stop-goes after exiting out of the pits. Unfortunate, honestly. About Sakis versus Klutz DMB. Klutz pulling away. Although this GT3 in front of him will not help his defence in the slightest. That is Blake Gonzalez in the Bend Porsche. As the Ferrari makes its way past. Easier than the Aston Martin did. The gap for the moment was going down to 7 tenths. Now it's just over a second. Was that the Ferrari cutting across Ascari? I thought I was making a mistake there, but Papoutsakis definitely cut Ascari. But we'll continue on. Sharif with 12 minutes left to go in a comfortable race lead of 32 seconds ahead of the two Aston Martins, 32 seconds behind him and 39 seconds further back from that. It's pretty comfortable. Oh, that is the 007 Aston Martin cutting across Del Roggia. No time lost, no time gained. He will continue on. And a half minutes. The gap going down to 0.5 of a second. Running down towards Parabolica. This is for position. Poutsack is flashing his headlights, letting know the Aston Martin that he's right behind him. This is the closest that Papoutsakis has been to Klutz at the moment. Over 10 minutes left to go, the Ferrari getting slipstream from the Aston Martin. 2 tenths to gap. 1.5 tenths. Counting down, the Aston Martin has to go defensive, heading down to Del Roggia. The Aston Martin on the inside, on the middle of the racetrack, tries to cover it all, but left front locking. The Ferrari going deep into the corner as well. Who stays in first place? It will be the Aston Martin getting back that first place from Papoutsakis after, well, no collision, but there was certainly a battle. But exiting the Lesmos, the run down to Ascari is a potential overtake. And Papoutsakis stands back from now. No moves. You would imagine the best overtaking place without the first chicane will probably be Del Roggia, to be fair. But it's still, even though it's big long straight, it's hard to overtake practically up here. The Ferrari closest, under a tenth. He's practically pushing the Aston Martin along. He is pushing the Aston Martin basically along in towards the first corner. No, not first corner, but into Curva Grande. The Ferrari on the inside of Curva Grande, which will turn to the outside of Del Roggia. The Ferrari onto the curb, especially at that speed, is dangerous, but they continue on just fine. The Aston Martin stays in third place. Wow. Oh, the Aston Martin onto the gravel, and that will allow the 50 of the Ferrari will catch up. Papoutsakis piling on the pressure behind the 007 Aston Martin. He's going to start feeling, and we've seen glimpses of that just now. Eight and a half minutes for the battle of the podium here at the chicaneless Monza, at least one of them being removed. And the gap going down to 0.4 of a second between Klutz and Papoutsakis. But this is the furthest he's been in these last 3 laps, Papoutsakis to Klutz. But he does have enough time to catch back up and bide his time behind his Aston Martin. Different line for the Aston Martin might have not been as optimal as the Ferrari did. The Ferrari still right at the back of this Aston Martin through the first of the 2 Lesmo. There's a GT3 Porsche of Blake Gonzalez ahead of these two battling. Traffic always plays a part in multi-class racing, and this will be no different this time unless they catch back up on the pit straight rather than parabolica. But that may not come into effect. The Aston Martin moves to the inside, but it will be locking up on the front left tyre for Klutz DMB, and he goes wide, and that allows the Ferrari to catch back up. The Aston Martin was just looking for a clean way to move past the Porsche, but locking up has brought the Ferrari back into the fight for the third place. Six minutes left to go, and this battle still rages on. It has done so for the past 5. Exiting out of the second Lesmo, they've got Mike Johnson in the Cyan Lexus right ahead of them. The Aston Martin getting past cleanly, so will the Ferrari heading down to Ascari. As the Ferrari 50 going way too deep at Ascari and subsequently losing time. Sakis, what can he do? Can he do anything to try to get past? Slower on the previous lap by 5 tenths due to that deep run at Ascari. Is it all but over for Sakis to get past onto the podium for the second round of the IFWL Multiclass race? And speaking of IFWL, make sure to join the Patreon and look at the website as well. Good viewing, of course. The clock slowly runs down, and Sakis is now back under 7 tenths of a second. There's a battle for bragging rights for the podium place. And this might be one of the few final opportunities that Sakis can get past the Aston Martin. Philip Hawke's yellow flags being waved. And Sector 2, but we'll focus on this battle between these two cars. The Aston Martin will be looking to figure out a way to defend this third place from Sakis. And in towards Curva Grande, the Ferrari looks to the inside of Curva Grande, which will turn to the outside at Del Roggia. And it's side by side between these two cars. And the Ferrari going into the grass slightly into Del Roggia. It's the Aston Martin who has the inside line. And will he defend this? It's too wide in towards Del Roggia. But they managed to not make contact. It's side by side again. Drag race down to the first Lesmo, the 50 on the inside this time. And he will go up into third place ahead of the Aston Martin. It's now the 50 Ferrari of Sakis in third place, onto the podium now, but don't think this battle is done yet. Klutz will try to find his way past, heading down to Ascari, looks for a potential move, doesn't, hangs back for now. There is a better overtaking opportunity with 2.5 minutes left to go of this race. Jogma with yellow flags, waving. Heading down to Parabolica, it is Klutz hanging back. The gap's still just half a second. About Sakis with the faster lap than GMB by 6.5 tenths of a second. But a minute and a half remain. It's not over till it's over. Front left locking by Klutz, and he takes to the runoff. And that might be his podium contention over. The gap growing to 1.2 seconds. And he's going over to the gravel at the Excel Lesmo 2, trying to figure out a way past Fabluim, the leader of GT3 as well. A minute left to go. Fearless Al-Shaif has been leading by a comfortable margin. I believe this won't be his final lap. The next one maybe. Yeah, the next one definitely, I mean. This one, not so. Yeah. Let's not getting closer, but Arkina versus Jogma. There's some gravel being thrown up at the Exo Lesmo 2 and Jogma. We saw him throw up yellow flags before. Arkina trying to find his way past down at Scari. The 72 defending on the inside, and the Toyota will swiftly get past him. Al-Shaif, with about 10 seconds left to go, will cross the line for his final lap of this race. There he goes, final lap, white flag being waved, 9% virtual energy left to go. And this will be his final lap of this race. Fablim just ahead of him, on track at least. Will also be taking pretty comfortable win as well, 38 seconds after seeing Mike Johnson and Blake Gonzalez receive stop and go penalties in the pit lane. But Fearless Al-Shaif already weaving, knowing that the race is all but over against his competitors. He heads down to Ascari for the final time in a yellow Ferrari, AF Corsa Ferrari, both team and car being from this land. It's the final sector of this race, and a winning sector at that. Heading through Parabolica, the final corner, an iconic corner, has been in place at this track since 1950. And the 83 Ferrari will come across the line to win the second round of the IFWL Multiclass race. Flashing the headlights, well done to Al-Shaif. He takes the win in comfortable fashion. Fabrim crossing the line in GT3 to win in for Porsche as well. And what a win it is for Fabrim. And commentator, can we get a replay of the GT3 crash? Yeah, after we see all the cars come across the line. De Gore. It's been a hard-fought second place. Let's see the positions gained and lost. De Gore qualified in second place. It's been, I think, actually a pretty quiet race. Mike Johnson crossing the line, GT3 in second. And De Gore in second place. Without Sakis, Klutz GmbH couldn't do anything, unfortunately, to stick the Aston Martin third to make it an Aston Martin 2 and 3. Instead, it will be a 1 and 3 for the Ferrari cars. Well done to Pavel Sakis, taking the podium. Alright, so let's try and find this replay. There's quite a long list of replays, so please bide your time. I believe it might be this one. So, replay. No, not this one. No, not this one. Oh, this one. Okay, yeah. Okay, this replay isn't that good because it doesn't really look at the point of contact. Here it is, actually. So, heading through Curva Grande now. Oh, yeah, there you go. And you saw the second moment of that as well. Tell me if that's enough. It's also on the it's also on the stream as well. If you go further back onto the second lap of racing, if this VOD is saved, of course. But that is it. How did Fabreem survive that? I wish I knew. But that is it. I was taking out lap 1 my Bondi and in my car for you in car 81. That would be car 81. Yeah, unfortunate, man. By the way, if any person is watching this and thinks that I'm pronouncing your name wrong, please let me know, because I probably am. But that'll be it. The results are on the page you see in front of you. Big thanks to tonight's commentator. Indeed. My name is Jarvis Coid, and that has been the second round. Lie said fast. Okay, thank you. I'll keep a reminder if I stick around for a bit longer, if you'll have ourselves commentating your races. That will be it for the second round of the IFWL Multiclass racing series. An interesting race with quite a fair bit of battling, a few incidents sprinkled in there as well. But that'll be it. And have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.